Hey, Mim.
Hey, Scarlett.
Welcome back, guys. You're listening to Style Over Substance.
We're just two friends talking about our experiences working inside the fashion industry and also our observations from outside the fashion industry. It's sometimes serious, but it's definitely always a good laugh.
Always. We release new episodes every Tuesday.
So subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platforms.
What's up?
I'm back on drinking the wines. I'm back on it. I saw
Cheers.
you on.
Yeah.
I think, I'm an alcoholic. So I really don't think I should have alcohol in the house, because when we had alcohol-free beer for a few weeks, we had no wine in the house. I was surprised. I was getting used to it. I was not thinking about having a drink in the evening.
It doesn't take long to snap out of it. But as soon as you get back on the alcohol train, it's long gone. It's long gone.
But now I need to finish the bottle, don't I? Between me and Mr. Big, we need to finish the bottle. And then I'll start on Monday.
Yeah. There's always an excuse. I had this where yesterday I had maybe I had a few glasses of wine and I woke up and I was a bit I don't feel as fresh as I'd like to. And I wasn't hungover, but when you're
yeah,
I need a glass of water. And I was that's not nice. You don't want to feel like that. And then today I was I'm not going to drink, despite having yet half a bottle of wine open. And today I wasn't working and I went to a spa. And then I had a bit of a stressful morning. And then I was this is a treat day. Why would I not have a glass of wine at lunch?
Yeah.
And then one of my friends was make sure you've got get yourself a nice glass of wine. And then as soon as someone says it, you're and I'd resisted it at lunch, but straight after lunch, I went and got myself a glass of wine. And I was just yes, there's always a reason. And then I got hit back home and that half bottle of wine is open.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I to do?
What's a girl to do? How was the spa? I forgot to ask you.
It was actually really nice. I think I'm burnt from sitting in the sun.
Oh my God, yeah.
I've got hang on.
I can see it.
Oh God.
Okay, I really don't need to see your tits on camera.
You see, there's a real mark.
Yeah, I can see it.
Don't worry, I did not flash red. No, it was really nice. A really nice spa. Yeah. Would recommend. We'll go back.
Real.
Yeah. I was hoping I'd come out of there looking 10 years younger, but I definitely don't. I do feel my skin feels like a baby's bottom, so I'll take that.
What
maybe
do you have?
So I had a full body massage, a facial and a pedicure.
Oh.
And so I feel really, really pampered. The facial was amazing. I fell asleep. And you know how weird it is, the idea that you can fall asleep while someone's touching your face? I don't know, I would never fall asleep in a massage. That's not me. We talked about this the other day. I can't really relax in a massage because I'm a bit ticklish.
Worried about farting, that's what it is.
But yeah, I fell asleep during the facial and that was lovely. But yeah, and you know what? The whole time I was getting my pedicure done, I was just sat there I really hate getting my nails done. This isn't pleasant.
Yeah, I think feet is a bit of a...
I'm the same with my hands. I love the bit where you're making my feet soft. I love that, you're doing that extra bit. You're giving me a little, putting a scrub on. You're doing the stuff that maybe I should do more myself.
Yeah.
Love that bit. Do I really care for you then, I don't know, shaping my toenails and all that stuff. No. It takes so long. I'm just ready for it to be done. Yeah. And I think there's something really demeaning about someone like serving your feet.
Yeah, it is.
I don't like that balance, and they're sort of lower than you, and I don't like the dynamic. It's a bit of, to me, that's like being at home when your cleaner's there, and I don't have a cleaner, but that's how I imagine it's like, that you've hired a cleaner, but you're sat on the sofa whilst they do the work. That's how I feel it is.
Well, I mean, besides that,
sounds like I need to go to therapy, really. Besides that, it was really nice.
I would love a massage. Never had one, but what have I had one? I've had like a leg one, but that's like when I've had a leg wax.
We need to get you to a spa ASAP.
I know, honestly. And I think I need to start getting into facials.
I actually think that is the key to
good skin.
So I'm actually house sitting at the moment, and the lady that I'm house sitting for, she is the most beautiful skin. I think she's just turned 50. Her skin is glowing. It is radiant. She's told me she's had Botox once. She won't do it again, but she gets regular facials, and she, I think, looks after her skin with nice skincare. But you have to have the facials, I think, in between. Definitely. Like we say, Kylie Skin or Kim's skincare, JLo's skincare is not why their skin looks like that. They go to a very good beautician. They get lots of facials. They get all the stuff.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer in like facial massages. Even it's not just like them, extracting blackheads or,
drainage, sculpting,
lasering or tightening treatments. It's just the massage, as you said, drainage. And I agree. And I think it's not a bad thing to start doing when you're 30.
I know. I was lying there thinking, what level of wealth do I have to get to where this is how someone takes my makeup off every night?
Oh, I think that would be a bit of a bother though for me. Maybe like definitely a facial every 2 weeks. I'd love
just the way someone, like, when like they just their hands, they're so gentle with their hands, whereas I'd like just get this off.
Yeah. I do think about the cost of personal grooming for someone who likes personal grooming. Maybe we should do an episode about this, because I had the month quote unquote off in between jobs, and I got my acrylics done, which I love. I can't really work with them, if I'm honest, but it was kind of like a treat. But then you have to maintain it. And I was like, okay, now I need to go back for an infill. Yep. And for my holiday, I was like, I really want to get my lashes done. So I booked an appointment for that. And then what else? Oh, there was something else.
That's sort of personal grooming.
Oh no, and then when you factor in like waxing and things like that, and you're calculating it on like a monthly basis, like is this a reasonable amount of money in upkeep, like infills, waxes, eyelash infills, and all of this stuff? Is it reasonable for me to be spending between £100 and £150 a month? Like, who am I?
I know. What's your fashion story? So my fashion story is, I saw a headline on the Business of Fashion, the debrief, and I didn't like it. Oh. So the headline is, how Skims took on Victoria's Secret and Spanx. And basically it's obviously talking about how she's competing with these underwear giants. And yes, her product might be good, but the answer to that is because she's famous and she's Kim Kardashian and she has loads of followers. And she drops a new collection every other week. So even if the original line's not good, like you can buy into the new stuff. I just thought that was a really, I don't know, she's not self-made in that industry, if that makes sense. She might be self-made in whatever the terminology for self-made is as a celebrity, but I don't think she's self-made like Spanx.
Yeah, I think the media gives the Kardashians way too much credit.
Yeah.
Even when Forbes like discredited Kylie's status as a billionaire, self-made billionaire and a billionaire outright, people they still push that narrative and that notion, and it can never be taken back now. And then so, you know, with a headline like this, what they do is they align Kim Kardashian with a 3-decade-long internationally famous brand that's on every high street.
First to do it as well.
Victoria's Secret.
She's
like
literally based her line off of Spanx. I heard the story about how I built this. It's a podcast.
Oh yeah,
for Spanx, and it's an amazing story. Like where they've played around with how you different. I'll never say this word right. Hosiery techniques to create these like shapewear pieces. She's literally copied and used to say that she wore 2 pairs of Spanx at a time. And yeah, like you said, that Victoria's Secret, like it's not comparable yet.
It isn't. It's not comparable. Her business is not as pervasive as those 2 brands. Yeah.
And this isn't me hating on Skims or anything like that, but I just found that headline to be a bit unfair.
And then what it does is, because she's been aligned with those 2 companies, it makes her brand even more successful.
Yeah.
You know? A lot of people genuinely like Skims from what I can tell. I mean, if you like it, by the way, guys, Net-a-Porter has a serious discount on Skims. So if you want some, I'd go there. Summer sale though, I think it's gone. But it's just like she's clearly creating something that some people genuinely like, and fair play to her. But I don't get the impression that her stuff is like technically as shapewear is on the same level as Spanx.
No.
Or as a Wolford's.
Yeah.
You know, or Victoria's Secret carved out a lane for itself, and a lot could be said about that brand. A lot of criticisms could be made about that brand, but we can't deny that it was a cultural phenomenon for some time. And
you know what?
Yeah,
we 100% should do an episode on the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Oh yes, we should. We'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it, and I think just give the Spanx woman her flowers and keep it moving.
Yeah. What is your fashion story?
Well, my fashion story is that it's more of a confession, really, and I know that I feel like some of our listeners will be able to sympathize and relate to some extent. So I am the worst at unpacking suitcases after trips. I don't know if I've spoken about this. I probably have, because if you could see my house right now, the whole corridor, I have a suitcase just like opened in the middle of the corridor, stuff ruffled, like a mixture of dirty and clean clothes.
Yeah.
Mixed together. I've got shoes that I've pulled out from today, out from under my bed in the mix on the floor. And for someone genuinely, like, I love clothes, and I think I take care of my clothes relatively well. There's not a task that I hate more doing. It's packing and unpacking.
Yeah, I think unpacking, the thing that you touched on of like, some of it's clean, some of it's not. I feel like the easiest bit is to take the dirty stuff out and like put it near at least the washing machine or put it in. Yeah. It's like, for me, I hate putting away laundry. So it goes in with that, right? It is that almost on a worse scale, because you're kind of like, it's been in the suitcase. Should I clean it? Should I air it out for a bit? Like does this need re-ironing now? Like all this stuff, we like, oh, I'll deal with that later.
I know. And
because you want to put it away properly. And I guess even a bit unlike laundry, at least laundry's all clothes. When you're unpacking it, then maybe like your skincare, like different things that have different places, you really need to have the right mindset for that.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I'm ever going to change my ways, but oh well, packing is the worst. And then also now I have finally, because my cousin's getting married at the end of this year. I say end of this year. What I mean is next month.
Oh my God.
And I've finally gotten my outfit together. And I think I've placed about 3 orders and returned all of them. And I finally got something. So I feel like I'm on a roll with these wedding outfits.
So
now.
Mim was at a wedding at the weekend and she served a real look.
Oh, thank you. I think it's my best look yet. I was telling everyone, I was like, I think this is my best one.
It was good. It was really good.
Yeah, so I know there's like half the world now is probably going through a trying summer of what do I wear to this next wedding? This post-COVID wedding, because everyone has a billion of them, and this is coming from someone who had 0 weddings most of her adult life, and now I have 5 this year, and
it happens. This is what happens when you turn 30.
I'll stop it.
No, genuinely. My brothers, the year they turned 30, they were each at like 8 weddings.
You think people panic about their age and start just like cuffing up?
Potentially. But I also just think that's naturally an age where if you've been together with someone for a while, that you just it's around about that age that people, I guess, start thinking maybe a bit differently. But yeah, it's tough though. I've got a wedding coming up in September. Oh, that is next month. Yeah.
Yep.
And I've kind of got 2 options. One is a bit more, I bought this dress. Actually, both the dresses I saw them, I liked them. I thought wedding, and I bought them because I thought you never, ever find these dresses when you're looking for them. And one's a bit more play safe, and one's a bit more like showing a bit of personality. And I just really don't know which path I'm going to go down. I'll probably go play it safe because I know no one at this wedding. But it's funny. I just love how clothes, you can be a totally different person at all these different events, or you can choose a different persona, or all of that stuff. I don't know.
I think that's a really interesting idea. I know you've spoken about playing different characters depending on what you wear. But I think I realise as I get older, me dressing myself is more about presenting as the person I closer to either who I want to be or how I see myself. And it doesn't involve multiple characters.
Interesting. Interesting. Do I think I have multiple characters? I think I do. I think I have a few personas. Or maybe it's more dress codes that I've got. I sort of have, I have a few different types of dress codes, I guess, depending on my commitment or whereas if you kind of are at a stage where if you go out the house, you're committed.
Am I?
Yeah, you said like you're either off duty and you're in tracksuits, or if you're out of the house, like
in that sense,
you're putting on an outfit.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm still a bit slapdash.
Okay, I get what you mean now. Okay. Yeah. Oh, identities. They're a tricky one, aren't they?
It's a crisis. Hey.
Do you want to jump into our main topic for today?
We interrupt this broadcast to say, go follow us on Instagram. Our handle is @StyleOverSubstancePod. There you'll find our weekly fashion topics, all the stuff that we discuss in each episode, and our polls.
Or reach out to us at styleoversubstancepodcast@gmail.com for new suggestions of topic discussions, or even to share your own fashion stories. We also have a YouTube channel, Style Over Substance Podcast, if you'd rather listen to our episodes over there.
Back to the episode. So we are discussing designer bags.
Yeah.
We are discussing basically where the future of designer bags and consumers and that relationship and all of that is going.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you, actually, before we get into it. Do you think there is such a thing as having too many designer bags?
Yes.
Okay.
I would even argue that I have too many.
Ooh.
And I don't have that many bags, and they are from work. But I would say and also actually, I notice now that because of work, that normally dictates my handbag. Mm-hmm. And so I normally use a smaller handbag that can just be my essentials. And then because of the nature now of work, where you take your laptop into work because of work from home, mm-hmm. I need a larger bag mm-hmm. to ferry that stuff around. And then maybe that's got lunch bits or other stuff in it. So I then use a smaller bag. So I kind of have a rotation of only maybe like 3 or 4 styles of smaller bags. That's also probably because I just don't have that many small bags. But I just see myself using my bags not enough. And so my answer of like having too many is I think you're meant to use your things. I don't think we're meant to own things and have them as trophies, mm-hmm. especially when it comes to a bag. If we really want to take it there, that is a cow that has died, that is leather, all of that stuff if you want to take it there. But also if not, that is someone who's sat there, they've made it, you've paid a lot of money for it. It's not just meant to sit and gather dust on a shelf. I just think if you buy something, you're meant to use it.
Yeah, 100%. I think so.
So do you think there's such a thing as too many?
Well, I think in light of what this episode is, jumping on. So last week, there was some really interesting information and data that came out in regards to what is predicted to be in the next, 5-6 years, a doubling of the number of handbag sales, which just sounded and looked ridiculous and unfathomable. I think there is such a thing as too many designer handbags. Too many designer handbags for one person to have.
Yeah.
It's like the number of sales of handbags increases because more people have access to that sort of disposable wealth, which allows them to spend $2,000 on a bag. I mean, more power to them, but I do think that when we watch these videos on YouTube of like rich people's closets and wardrobes, and it's like they have a museum in their house of the most exclusive Birkins and the most exclusive Chanel pieces and whatnot. Sometimes I think the idea of this is a piece of art and that is why I've bought so many and I've bought such expensive handbags, because it's a collector's item and it's a piece of art. I think that excuse can sometimes wear thin. Because art in your house, for example, is there for everyone to enjoy. People walk past it and they see it, and it creates atmosphere. I think having a handbag in your walk-in wardrobe, sitting there gathering dust, probably in its dust bag, away from sunlight so that the leather color doesn't fade, is really indulgent. Like, there's only, as you said, there's only so many places you can, you know, like the exclusive Chanel bags really can't be, well, they can be, but will you take them to Waitrose with you? Probably not. How many holidays do you go on where you are going to be carrying all those bags in your suitcase, in your luggage, and then every day wearing a different handbag? It's unrealistic to think that you're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think of probably a time when I was younger, and if I would hear my mum sort of excusing, maybe she was buying something, and it would be like, oh, it's like, I need a silver belt because I don't have one. And there used to be more like a justification of, this outfit needs a silver belt, or this, I want a silver bag to match my silver belt, my silver shoes. That used to be the way. I think that we don't shop with that justification anymore. I think we shop with, I want it, so I'm going to buy it. And I think that that's probably why there's such a thing as too many, because it's not like, oh, I don't own one like that already. You don't hear people say that. They don't feel the need to justify it. The justification of, I want it, is enough. And it is enough. But I think that's how we've got to a point where people are kind of collecting things, and probably without them realizing, are they actually using them? No. Day to day, no.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really interesting point. Like, the way we justify these purchases has changed over time. So the kind of piece of data that we're referring to is that this year, well, actually last year in 2021, the sale of designer bags amounted to about 64 billion US dollars. And in 2027, it's estimated to be about $99 billion. If we were to take like the 2019-2020 figures, that 2027 expected figure is exactly doubled in 10 years, just under 10 years. And it's insane. And I think that like that sort of projection is fueled by the fact that a lot of brands focus on handbags because that's where they make their real money. And so they continue to churn out different styles, different colorways, hero bags, hero pieces. And so there's always a new bag to cover. And that's why we're going to see, you know, they put a lot of focus into their handbag range. And that's why we're going to see that growth, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think that I was explaining this to someone the other day. They're like, oh, do you do clothing? And I was like, no, that's not where you make money. And then we talked about bags. But bags is where it's at. And we've somehow just started justifying it. And we mentioned this a few times now. But we just have started justifying these costs of a handbag. Like, I kind of can't believe, like, the pay packet comparison, that there could be like a 20-something-year-old living in London probably on around 30 grand a year, like a decent salary, whatever. But they're saving up to buy a designer handbag or already own one, and they're saving up for their next. And that is something that they make part of their goal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy that originally these bags were for the super wealthy, and we're now trying to like infiltrate and have those things and covet it. But that people are, I think it's also the generation of, well, I'm never going to be able to afford a house, so I'm not saving for that anymore. So I'm going to put my money into this kind of a thing. But I spend half my life wondering, and there's like that TikTok thing of like, my parents ask me, can I afford this lifestyle? And I'm just like, no. Yeah. But they all have like, designer handbags, and they're all going out for brunch and meals all the time. And I see these people, I'm like, how are you affording this? But that's just what they're prioritizing.
Before we started recording, actually, I was listening to a podcast episode, it's also on YouTube, from this channel that I've been watching for years, and it's called The Financial Diet. And she has a podcast called The Financial Confessions. And anyway, she had a guest on, and this guest, her podcast is about gossiping. And so obviously the topic for this podcast episode was about like the worst like scenarios that people had written into, explaining a time when there was a really cringe financial moment, or they had a financial realization, like financial stories, about their friends or people they know and stuff. So it was gossiping. And both of the host of this podcast and the guest, they both started their careers in writing. So it was like writing columns or articles, freelancing, that sort of creative media industry. And they both said that, you know, so a lot of both of them, I mean, like, would have friends and acquaintances, and they would have conversations with each other about, you know, it's so expensive living in New York, and, you know, the industry doesn't pay a lot, and blah blah blah. You know how we all kind of gossip about our financial woes. And they were both saying how they found out later on that there were a few of them who were being financially supported by their parents, but not being forthcoming about it, acting as if they were living off of what little
income.
Yeah, what little money they get paid for a writing job, a writing gig, or, you know. And anyway, that in itself is a bit deceiving. I think the same probably happens with 20-somethings who we see online, know in person, who are, quote unquote, they say, I save up for my bags, all the bags I have.
From your pocket money, from your dad.
I just save for the things I want so that I can walk into a Chanel boutique and buy a £3,000-4,000 bag. I don't think so. Because I remember being in my 20s, in my early 20s, and I remember how much I was getting paid, and there was no way.
There was no way I could save for that.
It was not possible. You can't save what you don't have, literally. And so, like, for like one story, they were saying how she knew someone, it was her friend. She later on found out that writer, who was, you know, seemingly doing well in their career, their parents had been paying for her New York City apartment until she was 40. Till she was 0. And I think that happens, basically, I say all that to say, that happens to people we see who have substantial handbag collections in this day and age.
I agree. I think that a lot of 20-somethings definitely are getting probably a bit of a leg up, or they've got an extraordinary salary, circumstances, whatever that may be. For sure. I think that one of the really interesting graph that this article had was talking about necessary and unnecessary purchases, and how basically the idea of an unnecessary purchase that's responsible for all of the growth, is that they're unnecessary purchases. Yeah. So a necessary purchase is that I need a bag for work, like whether I buy that from Zara or buy that from Prada is my own prerogative, but that to me is like a necessity. Or I want to buy a baby changing bag, like I might buy a Chanel backpack rather than going to Marks and Spencer's. Those are deemed necessary. But when we're just doing that frivolous thing of like, oh, well, I wanted a blue YSL bag, or I saw it and I liked it, so I just guess I got it. These are unnecessary. Like, don't get me wrong, we all shop this way. It's not a bad thing, but we don't need so many of the things that we have. And we're just becoming this very gluttonous, like, collecting era of consumers.
Yeah. Also, it's predicted that much of the drive for this increase in purchases of designer bag are, of course, coming from the States and from China. China has a really fastly growing middle class that are interested in buying handbags. And I think for the same reasons that we in the West do as well, buying a designer handbag is a clear indication of financial success. And if you want to buy something from an expensive brand, you kind of want people to know that it's an expensive bag. And I don't care what any of you say about, oh, I like the bags that don't have monogram. I like really subtle ones. I like, Bottega Veneta, because you can't tell that it's Bottega Veneta. Or I like the really understated designer bags.
And why do so many of you have a Gucci disco bag?
So many of you have a Neverfull in monogram.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. We all want, to outwardly show the appearance of success. Otherwise, we would only spend money on the inside of our homes, and never on the clothes that we wear, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those two markets in particular is going to be driving a lot of the sales in the next coming years. And yeah, again, not really surprising because, both of us are aware how much these brands do cater towards the Asian market in particular.
Yeah, they have a whole merchandising strategy for that market.
Exactly. I think with the States, it's like, oh, the States will like whatever is kind of cool and trendy. Same with like the UK. Whatever's new and fresh, people there will more or less buy into it. But there's so much more like direction when it comes to catering to the Asian market, like particular designs specifically to cater to that market. Particular promotions, especially to cater to that market, even to the point of like store policies of you need to make sure that when you're showing someone a product, you're showing them the one that's been on display, and you're keeping a lot of fresh, untouched, still wrapped up with the polystyrene foam and the plastic over it. Yep. Because particularly customers from China, want the fresh, never been out the packaging version.
Yeah. No, that's so true that we are, I don't want to say manipulated, but we are essentially being manipulated. There are people who are literally predicting our consumer needs, our spending habits. They are purposefully trying to appeal to us. So, yeah, it's kind of the trends are changing and these companies are adjusting and they're making decisions based off of that. And it's sort of now this vicious cycle that we're all a part of. However, I actually just can't see it changing. I can't see it slowing down. I think that even with the world moving towards being more conscious, and, you know, even if we move away from fast fashion in the next 10 years, I don't see this consumerism changing because of the price tag. I just don't think we see it as like as bad as fast fashion.
Yeah. It's like when something is priced expensive, even if it's not the case, we kind of see it as inherently better quality.
Yeah.
There's a reason why something is priced this much.
Yeah, we have no proof for it, but yeah, we assume it is.
Mm-hmm. Also, another really interesting point I'd like to get your viewpoint on is I think over recent years, we've seen a lot of up-and-coming brands, you know, making it really big, especially like on social media and whatnot. And they are producing clothes and bags to the same kind of level of quality, whether, you know, they're using the same tanneries as these designer conglomerate companies do, or manufacturing their product in the same locations, or using the same techniques to make their products, but they are coming in at less expensive, you know, prices. So whereas before, if you wanted a nice bag, you might go to Louis Vuitton. Let's just go for an obvious one. Louis Vuitton. Now you can get a really nice bag from a lot of these other upstart companies that are making really nice Italian leather handcrafted bags for half the price.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that feeds into this new demand for handbags. Do you think people are going to be willing to buy more into these newer brands, these niche companies, niche brands, or do you think we're just really going to double down into the like top 5 companies and just be like really homogenous with our handbags?
My gut instinct is that we're going to double down on the logos and the named brands, because I think it's a status thing, like, isn't it? And I know that if I bought a Chanel, would I think that's what it is? No, but is it inherently? Yes, because why else am I lusting after it? There's nothing else I'm lusting after with such a hefty price tag. It comes with it. I don't know, just like, yeah, this status or whatever. And I just think, unfortunately, newer brands, I think we're more willing to do that with fashion, with clothes. I think we're willing to give that independent company that's done a beautiful dress or blouse or trousers. I think we're way more on board with that. But when it comes to a handbag, I think that's still the status symbol. Like, and more so than shoes. And it's funny, I feel like we're missing a trick. Why aren't shoes catching up? But I think people can't justify spending that on shoes, because if you wore a bag 100 times but you look after it, it can stay the same. If you wear a pair of shoes 100 times, they're going to crease, they're going to get worn, they're going to get scuffed. You can't avoid it. If you live a normal life and you don't just hop in and out of taxis. But I do think that footwear could definitely meet us somewhere.
Yeah. So really, like, you think for a lot of people it's too risky to spend that level of money on anything but a handbag.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
like, even for myself, and I'm assuming for yourself, what areas I would justify spending the most money would be on coats, bags and shoes. And then the order would probably be bags, coats, shoes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And even with the coat, you're buying it a size bigger than what you need because you're scared that next year
you might outgrow it. Yeah.
Well, not outgrow, just,
Well, not outgrow.
Yeah, I'm not getting any taller. But yeah, I was really shocked at the thought that, knowing how our spending habits are now, shocked at the thought in 10 years' time, we are going to be twice as bad. I think it's a scary thought that there will continue to be people who are getting so incredibly wealthy that we are buying double the amount of high-end designer handbags, like say £500 and upwards.
That it's telling us that wealth is increasing, or people's money priorities are going to be changing, and it's got to be a combo of both. Your money priorities can't change unless there's wealth around. Like, I can intend to buy something, but unless I have the wealth and the means to do it, it's only ever an intention. Unless
it's like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and all these sales are coming from the people right at the top, because globally, inflation, guys, all of that nonsense, cost of living crisis, all of that. But they're projecting that next year's sales for designer bags is going to be higher than this year. So it's like not only is Chanel increasing their prices
again
quarter after quarter, but the financial crisis that we're living through right now is not hindering the sales of designer handbags. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, especially after the few years that we've had. I would have thought that would adjust people's spending habits a little. People were investing more in their homes, but it's funny how, like, leopards don't change their spots, old habits die hard.
Yeah. So ending this podcast, I know what your number one handbag is going to be. Yeah. Okay. So what's your number two after you get that Chanel classic flap? I
don't know if it'll be a classic flap, but it would be a Chanel bag.
Okay. So, tell me what your number one is, and then what your number two would be right after that Chanel.
So I don't know what style Chanel. I'm quite torn. It probably will be a classic flap, but I think it will either be silver and gold.
Hold on, silver leather, gold
hardware. But more like, there's a vintage shape that I like that's more square, not like the oblong shape.
Yeah.
Or I'd go a bit funky and go for like a tweed one, or just something, I don't know. I kind of really feel like if I'm spending that amount of money, I just don't want the same bag that a million other women on this planet have.
I think going for a more classic shape, but that color combo is winning.
Yeah.
I would go for like the double flat classic bag, whatever, with the metallic leather, the gold hardware, chef's kiss, because then you can wear it with different jewelry, different shoes, and it's not a colorway that you see people with.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, because I don't think they do it.
A girl can dream. What's your number two?
Just funnily enough, I really don't lust after bags. So when I used to have to do research for competitors' bag shapes, you get really into it and you get really sucked into, I want that. I want that. Like, at one point I was having to do quite a lot of stuff on like beach bags, and the Dior book tote was so on my list for ages. And I don't know why. Like, I've got shopping bags that look like that. I don't need a £2,000 version of it.
Yeah.
But when you are around it and you're researching it and you're checking what the dimensions are, and it becomes part of your brain waves. But I don't know. I really like Chloe bags, you know. I really like I think it's called like the mini C or something like that, or the Chloe C bag. Quite like that.
The prices aren't too bad of Chloe bags.
Yeah, I love Acne bags at the moment. I really like their knot bag. I really like that. It's got like 2 little knots at the side, and it's got like different shapes. I think they're really nice, but I don't know. I feel like my brain has really taken a turn for sort of letting that just be a fantasy world. Like, it's at one point it was a real like, this is a plan, I need to own this, and then I'll probably get another one. And now it's kind of like, ha ha ha, like I'll get my Chanel, but ha ha ha. How about you though? What's on your list? I know you do have lists and saved folders, and
it makes me sound worse than I actually am.
It's like it's some screenshots on your phone.
Oh yeah, I have to screenshot. It really does it focuses my attention on things as opposed to me buying everything and anything. I think if I were going to buy a bag, it would be it's by Van Van, and it's called cat box bag or something like that. Basically, it's this hard rectangular shaped bag.
Yeah.
And on the top it has this cat in bronze. The handle is this like bronzy gold handle. It's like this cat with this arched back, and it is like the coolest like original bag. And I love it so much because I haven't, like, the handle itself is like the statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just haven't seen it on the street before. I think it's great. And if I were to spend $2,000, $3,000 on a bag, this one's kind of got like a vintage aesthetic.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it's a statement. I love it.
That's so funny that neither of us have gone for like granted mine's a Chanel, maybe a classic flap, but we haven't just gone for what everyone else would be spending their money on and the statistics that this article surrounds itself on. Yeah.
I think something has to be said about when you don't have access to things, you have to evaluate.
Yeah, that's true. You have to really consider your purchases.
Exactly. If we were like multi-millionaires,
if I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd be here, there, and everywhere
buying ridiculous shit.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'll have it in every color.
I'd be buying that Dior monogrammed scooter that they had in Emily in Paris, you know.
Oh my god, the Vespa collab. Vespa. Well, the other day we saw a Dior monogrammed pram.
Yes, we did. Yeah. In
a Chanel store.
I know. Sacrilege. But yeah, what is our poll for this week? How many bags is too many bags?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you have a number in mind?
I
can't help but base it on my own collection.
Yeah, I just
I saw you turning around and looking. I'm going to say like 20, but that's quite high.
I don't think 20 is that high. I'm being honest.
But we've worked in fashion. Someone who's buying these bags from scratch.
Designer bags or bags in general?
I guess because
bags in general, 20 is not a lot.
No, I know, but we're not meaning Zara bags, are we?
Okay, designer bags. I think if someone says I have this number of designer bags, I'd be like, girl, you need to slow down. If someone said they had 50, I'd be like, I know for sure you're not using half of them. That would be my barometer of like, you are batshit crazy. If someone said they had about 30, I'd be like, that's a lot, but you know, like each to their own.
Each to their own.
30 is my like unequivocally like, that's a lot of bags, girl.
Well, let's let the people decide. How many is too many?
Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Style Over Substance, guys.
Don't forget to check out our Instagram or Spotify to respond to this week's poll.
Bye.
Bye.